Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name is Stuart and welcome to another review video. This is more from Warlord Games' Epic Battles Waterloo range, and this time it's the Prussian Cavalry. So I've been very lucky that Warlord Games have continued to support me by sending some review stock, which has been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed getting these videos out to you guys as well that are interested in this range. So I've got a couple of frames here of the cavalry to look through, but first let's take a little look at what's over on the website.
So here it is in all its glory on the Warlord Games website. So those of you who have watched the Prussian Landwehr review I did at the time I had the miniatures and recorded the video, nothing was up on the website because the pre-order hadn't gone up, so I wasn't able to do this. So there's a little comparison in a moment, but this is the Prussian Cavalry Brigade, which is what we're looking at today. $26.50 is the recommended retail price. I'm sure that friendly local game stores and online retailers will do it at discount, 10, 15, maybe even 20 in some cases % off. So obviously pick your place where you want to get it, but that's the standard box artwork. I thought we'd just have a very quick look at the studio paint jobs and look absolutely fantastic. Obviously the set I've got is just a sprue, so I don't have the box in front of me. They're probably still being printed at this stage, though there might be the other one around, but I think they look pretty cool. And notice also there are 5 Jaegers on a stand there, and it doesn't matter because you can put however many you want on. If your skirmishes, they're individual miniatures. For my rifles and for my Voltigeurs, I'm going to do 4, and I imagine I'll do the same for the Jaegers, but just take note of there being 5 on there. And what else do we get in the box? We get the Prussian flag sheet. There's a picture of his sprue, and you can see there are 5 Jaegers on the sprue, which is, I think there's 6 riflemen on each sprue, and I think there's 6 Voltigeurs. So there's a slight difference in that, but they seem to be squeezing them on where they can. And then there's this page, which it seems to be a new edition, and those are suggested colours that you may need. You don't actually get those. I think maybe it could have to do with a heading or something like that there, so people don't think they're getting those paints in the box. Though it does very clearly state in the description what you get, and that's not listed. So we get on to the official description. So this plastic set provides enough models to field a complete brigade of 3 Prussian cavalry regiments, 4 bases of hussars, 3 bases of uhlans, and 4 bases of dragoons, along with 3 bases of Jaegers skirmishing and a 3-gun horse artillery 6-pounder battery. So it's the 3 sprues of the models themselves, 3 sprue of bases, and 1 full colour Prussian flag sheet. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, you didn't have this available when I looked at the Landwehr, so I'm just going to make a little comparison, and it is relevant to this. So we go to the Landwehr entry, and we look at the sprue. To remind you, for those of you who haven't seen the video or maybe watched it a while ago, there's 4 Jaegers on here, so there's a little bit less, but they managed to squeeze extras on there, and I think it's a good thing. They could have just left a big gap. I think with the British cavalry, there was a bigger gap there, and it's nice to see them using up that space well. But if you look at the description here, this plastic set contains enough models to basically make 3 regiments of 80, as we know, 1 regiment of Landwehr cavalry, consisting of 3 bases and a 3-gun horse artillery pounder battery. It doesn't actually list the Jaegers on there in terms of full bases, so it feels more like a bonus. Though in the official artwork in the picture, they are on there, and I believe there are 6 on these bases, unless I'm mistaken. It's easy to count from behind. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, so there's 6 on there when there's 5 on the other. I suppose you could do them as 2 bases in multiples of 6 from the 3 frames you get, which makes sense. But they're not listed in there. So it just, I think, just shows you do what you want with them, really, because they've got Jaegers in 2 of their products for the Prussians, and they're based in different ways. So do what you want. Anyway, let's go back and have a look at the actual sprue, which is far more interesting than me rambling on about stuff I've reviewed already.
So here we are with a close-up look at the sprue, and we'll whiz through it. So we'll start talking about the guns. So here's your cannon and your Prussian horse artillery, I believe. So the design of their uniforms is different to the standard artillery as far as I can tell. Again, as I said on previous videos, I'm not an expert on the Prussian military, so I'm sure people will pop some comments in below. But as far as I can tell, that the actual crew for this are very different. A bit more like the British. They're holding onto the wheel. They're quite closely sculpted to each other, so there's not so much room for easy conversions there. But I think they look pretty cool as they are. It'd just be that variation you wouldn't get, which you can get with some of the sculpts on some of the frames, where you've got one guy that's standing a little bit apart that you can remove him and reposition him, etc. Let's flick it over and look at the other side of them. But the detail looks fairly crisp from these side-on angles, and in line with everything else we've seen from the range. You've also got a couple of banner poles there, flag poles, and a couple of trumpets horns for optional to add to the riders. We move up a little bit more and we've got the Jaegers here. Now, we already saw some Jaegers on the Landwehr sprue and I reviewed those. I've checked and these are all different sculpts, which is fantastic. So we had 4 sculpts on the Landwehr sprue and you have 5 additional sculpts, and I might be mistaken, but I've had a quick look and I think they're all completely different, which means we have 9 different Jaeger sculpts, which is great as well. Now on to the first lot of cavalry, and I believe these are the hussars, of which I believe there are 6 of them. I may be wrong, I'm pretty sure there's 6 of them there. So they have their swords mostly in a downward position, apart from the officer type guy. He's got his sword slightly up and on the sprue. That seems to be the easiest way to identify them, apart from the dragoons. And again, very, very similar to the cavalry sculpts that we've seen in the other ranges. Very, very good. Nice to have them in plastic. Details absolutely fantastic from side on. I wonder if they're a bit like the French and the British. I'd say they've got a little bit more detail on the front of their jackets there. I don't know if you can see that with me, the way I've moved the camera there, I'm afraid. But I think they've got a little bit more detail on the front, so you actually see a little bit of lace work on the fronts of their jackets, which is fantastic. I know a few of the British cavalry, they looked a little bit flat there because they can see that they look very side on in their kind of approach to the sculpting of them. We flick the sprue around, and then we have the guys with their swords in the air, and I believe these are the dragoons. And again, very, very similar in terms of the quality of the detail side on. Really, really nice and crisp, nice and easy to paint, including things like the all of the horses kit as well. Funnily enough, I've been 3D printing recently, and I've been looking at 3D printing some 28mm Napoleonic officers down into the right scale. I've managed to do it, but it does show you how, when you scale something down, how delicate and small things like the horse's reins are, and just this slight upscaling that you have at this scale works really well, makes them a lot easier to paint, and to actually have something designed with this scale in mind makes a big difference. But they all look pretty good. Let's have a little look on the fronts as well, on their chests. So they do have a strap going across, not so much detail, but that's the nature of the uniform anyway, is more plain. But they definitely seem to be a little bit crisper than those the large flat areas that were on the British heavy cavalry. And then the final part of the sprue is the Uhlans, or their lancers. So I really like these guys. You can even see a little what looks like fur on the cloth, and they're pretty cool. Flick it over that way. You can obviously, there's sprue pictures on the website as well, but it definitely doesn't make up for getting your hands on the sprue and moving around a little bit. I'm not sure for you guys whether that's any better at all, having me do it on video rather than you looking at a still picture on the website. But hopefully seeing them in 3D rather than in a picture gives you a little bit more insight into the sprue altogether. Well then, overall, really happy with those. They seem to be fully in the keeping of the whole range, all the same style, the same quality. If anything, there's a slight improvement over the range as it's grown, and it may well be just incidental. But it does feel like the fronts of the cavalry, in terms of the riders' chests, just seem to be a little bit more detailed than maybe those British heavy cavalry when they first came out. A few people noticed there was a little bit of lack of detail just on the riders' chests, saying that it could just be those of the anomaly rather than anything else. But overall, I'm really, really happy with them. Like always, those people that don't like this range won't like these. I just like the fact that they're in plastic and they're really, really cheap, and they still give a pretty good level of detail for what you need at this scale, in my opinion. I do like the sculpting style as well. I do like the quality of sculpts in the faces. That's really important for me in my miniatures. Some of the older metal sculpts around, they just don't quite do it for me aesthetically, especially with faces, the unusual shapes and very, very hard to sculpt by hand. But obviously when you're sculpting in 3D and you're sculpting larger, you can make things a little bit bigger and better, and then shrink it back down again. So that may be how it works, maybe not how it works, but that's how I feel it works. But I'm very happy with these. Anyone who's likes the look of the range but has been holding out because they wanted non-British or French to get started, then these are absolutely fantastic excuse to get yourself into the game. Those of you who are looking to expand other forces, then I don't think you'll be disappointed if you like the existing stuff that's out there. And I'll be looking forward to bringing you some more review videos on it. These will be coming up very, very soon. But thanks very much for watching. If you did like the video, if you consider giving us a like, consider subscribing to the channel. There's plenty of epic content on there. And if you didn't like the video because you don't like Warlord Games or epic battles, that's cool. Don't worry about it. Anyway, guys, catch you soon.